Hello everyone, it's Marcos. I wanted to make an update video. I mentioned I was going to talk about this a few days ago on stream when I was playing Cold Steel 4, but yeah, I guess that's happening now. So I want to preface this by saying that none of this is scripted. I have no idea. Well, I have an idea of what I'm going to say, but it might be a little bit rambly. I'll try to keep it to 20 minutes or less. If anybody wants to just put this on in the background, feel free to do so. This is going to be very minimal editing. It's probably just going to be some random gameplay in the background, just for the sake of having something, but it's unrelated to what I'm talking about. So without further ado, let's get into it, because there's a few things I want to talk about. So, I started streaming, I want to say back in 2015, around May. And I bring that up for a few reasons. So, initially I started streaming for a handful of reasons. I ended up leaving college because there was like one course I couldn't finish due to a financial situation, so I said, alright, well, let me do something with my time, right? I could just play games, or I could, like, look for a job, which I did, but, in the time when you wait for applications to actually get a word of anything, you kind of are stuck not doing much. So, while that was going on, I said, well, you know what, if I'm gonna play games, I might as well make use of this capture card that I had. I think I bought an Elgato, like, way before I even considered streaming, mainly because I thought I was gonna do YouTube, and I never did. So, it's like I bought tech that I wasn't gonna use, so I was just like, I need to do something with it, so it doesn't go to waste. But, yeah, long story short, rather, it led one thing to another, and I ended up streaming back in 2015, and I started with, I believe, Shadow of the Colossus, and it was cool at that time to just have one viewer, right? It felt incredibly humbling. It was great. And I experienced that game for the first time, and I love it. It's one of my favorite games of all time now, pretty much. I love that game. But, I ended up talking with my good friend Shin. We ended up discovering, or he helped me get through, I think, Demon Souls. He noticed that I had it on my PS3, so he said, you should check that out. It's really good. Checked it out. Checked out the rest of the Souls series afterwards. It was a great time. Same thing with Metal Gear Solid. Yoko Taro games of the Nier series, and Drakengard, which some of the games are a little rough around the edges, for sure. But it was still worth discovering them, right? That was more or less how 2015 went, along with 2016. And it was a good time, right? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed hanging out with friends. It was good. But somewhere along the way, I and friends have, pointed out, and I think I do agree to an extent, and not to get super personal with you guys, because I only tell you, like, a little bit about myself, but, they were kind of noticing it's like, a potential addiction to, streaming or playing games and whatnot, and I agree. Looking back, I think I do agree. I was doing way too much of it, but over the last few days, I've been thinking a lot about what it is I've been doing exactly for the last 5 or 6 years, and if I feel satisfied. Do I feel like it was worth my time? And, recently we finished Cold Steel 4, and it was a good time to play through that series, but at the same time, I can't but feel like those 5 or 6 years have kind of just gone to waste, in a sense. Not to sound ungrateful for the people that do show up to the streams or the people that watch the VODs, but it is this feeling of like, man, it's nice to have a little bit of an audience, maybe have, like, on a good day, maybe 10 viewers or so. But it's been 5 to 6 years of streaming, and that's all you have to show for it? Right? And even then, it's like, it's a lot of things, right? Because it's like, I never went into it for clout. I said as much multiple times, and yet I still went ahead and did it. So I was like, okay, if you're not trying to do this like a full-time streamer, why are you putting in the hours like a full-time streamer, right? And for some reason, I just didn't think about it too much. I just thought, oh, okay, well, it still helps with commentary, right? It's still more productive than playing a video game. So I had excuses, right? That's what they were. I had excuses that were credible and made sense, so it checked out, right? And because I wanted to do the first time playthrough experience and all that stuff, right? It makes sense. But I didn't get to the real heart of the matter, right? If I keep saying I have these aspirations of being a voice actor and doing all of these other things, why am I streaming so much? And I think the reason I mentioned the whole college stuff back then, and like that was kind of the reason why I ended up starting to stream, was because I found myself with a lot of free time and I didn't know what to do. But that kind of stems back to that problem. I didn't do it because I wanted to get better with commentary. I didn't do it because it was more productive than playing a video game. Which are true, right? And they do make sense when I think about it more. But the initial reason I really did it was because I didn't know what else to do. And it's kind of been this thing for me for a while. And it's like, maybe this is a sign of like video game addiction or what have you. It could possibly be that, but you know, I'm clearly doing other things nowadays. But I think it's this problem where it's like, I think the more you go on in life, sometimes you have like a default. Like there's like hobbies, and then there's like the thing you do when you don't know what else to do, right? And I think for me, for those last few years, my default just ended up being streaming or video games or something else, right? Sometimes I'd be hanging out with friends doing something else, and then I'd be thinking about like, oh, streaming or doing something after the fact. And so it was like this like scheduled thing, this like meticulous thing. And it's not worth it. Because what I feel I should have done, and there's a bit of regret in here, is that I should have done voice acting practice. I should have been auditioning. I should have been pursuing these things. If I really want to do this, why am I not doing it? And I think it's because I got distracted too much with streaming as well. But I think it is also just that human, mental, like, you know, psychological fact of like getting out of your comfort zone, doing something that I'm not used to. And it's intimidating. And I know it's something that I really want to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have this emotional reaction or this investment to it. But it is that sense that there's like a lot that needs to go into that. So I still want to do it and I still want to pursue it. But I think trying to do streaming along with trying to pursue this is not a good combination. I think I tried it, I want to say last year in 2019, I tried doing some auditions along with streaming and keeping up with that. And that was mainly just winging it and doing auditions on Casting Call Club or like, you know, unpaid projects, like very like hobbyist level stuff. But I never took the time to properly learn mic technique, accents, enunciations, you know, like all these little things that make a performance more nuanced. So I still feel like there's a lot that I need to learn, a lot I need to put time into if I want to take this thing seriously and see where it goes, because this is what I'm really interested in. But if you looked at me the past 5 or 6 years, you wouldn't know it. And that's kind of the problem. So all of this to say that I appreciate the people who stuck with me for 5 or 6 years, right? I appreciate the people who were here for that much amount of time. I appreciate the people who watched the VODs. I appreciate the people who showed up. However, there's another problem too. And it's the reason why I'm kind of a little bit fed up with playing games and streaming at the moment. I won't lie to you guys. And I think it is the fact that being a small-time variety streamer sucks. And I knew that going in, but I think with last year, because I've had these thoughts for a while now, but I think it has to do with the fact that when I stream, even if it's at a small streamer level, I don't even have like 100 viewers or anything like that, but even in that small spectrum, I can tell what games people care about and what games people don't. Before even the Trail series, and I started streaming that, back in 2015 or 2016, I want to say, I did the Zelda games. I was trying to discover some of them for the first time. Like I checked out Twilight Princess. I really enjoyed that one. I checked out some of the other games like Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, you know, a lot of those. For some reason, I skipped the N64 ones. But yeah, even at that time, that was really popular. There were a lot of people showing up for that for some reason. And I think it was still because Twitch wasn't as big as it was nowadays. And people were looking for things to watch. And I appreciated that, you know, like people showed up. But then when I switched to something else that wasn't a Zelda game, those people didn't really show up again. And it's kind of led to this problem where it's like, I look at my follower count on Twitch, and it's a ghost town, right? Some of those people that showed up for that one game or that one thing are probably never going to show up again. And that's okay. But it really makes it hard for me to tell any amount of progress over the years of streaming. And again, the goal was never to be full-time, because that's just really stressful. I don't think I'd ever want to deal with a chat like that massive. But it does feel awkward to see that, okay, you have like over 1,000 followers, but it like, is it really? Or is it just those few people in the moment, and then they might as well count for 0, right? It's been that feeling for a while. As grateful as I am for that stuff, I've noticed it with the Trail series as well, right? Like, I remember in between Cold Steel 4, and I mentioned this before on stream recently, so people know what I'm talking about when I'm about to say this. I ended up streaming Neo: The World Ends with You, like the demo that came out, right? And I was having a lot of fun. I was really enjoying it. I think 2 people showed up in between, and then left, and then it was basically a ghost town in the chat, right? So I was just talking to myself for the better part of maybe 2 or 3 hours. And that's not the viewer's fault, but it's the nature of variety streaming. It doesn't matter how much fun I was having with games sometimes. It just didn't matter. Nobody showed up. And I couldn't tell you why. There's multiple reasons why. But it's that thing where like nothing really carries over. Some people might, but it really feels like streaming, if I want to do it, I'd have to keep consistent with one type of game, or just accept that I'm where I'm at when it comes to streaming. And again, it's been 5 or 6 years. I keep stressing that because when I think of that length of time, I'm like, man, there are so many things I could have done instead of streaming. So for as much fun as I've had, I can't help but feel like it's been, I'll be honest, a bit of a waste of time. If I'm being 100% genuine. And it's not that I'm falling out of my love for playing video games, and it's not that I dislike streaming entirely, but I think going forward, it needs to be severely cut back. I want to feel like I've earned streaming or gaming or anything. Because I feel like video games should be something that I do for fun when I have free time, but I feel like that's just all I've been doing the last few weeks, last few months. You know, like I wake up, get out of bed, and stream something. And it's like, what did I do today to really earn that? What did I do to really earn that free time, aside from just thanks to 2020 events, you know, just kind of leaving me laid off from work? But even at that point, it's like, I still do believe I should have earned that time. I shouldn't just do this as like a daily thing, because I'm not how to word this. It's like, I'm not a kid anymore, right? Because at least, even if when you were a kid, at least you had school to deal with, right? Or if you're an adult, you have a job. But it's like at this weird like limbo state, it's like, okay, what am I really doing to earn that free time or feel like I'm enjoying that free time? Not much. And to be fair, the reason I still kept doing it was just because I wanted to get caught up with the Trail series. That was the goal, right? Because I know if I didn't do it now, it was going to be really, really hard to get caught up when I'm employed again in a few months. So that was the goal behind the scenes, more or less, of finishing up the Trail series, and it's been a great time. But I can also tell that a lot of people showed up for the Trails games, and they don't show up for anything else. So for me, I'm like, okay, finish the Trails games, and now what, right? There's like the East games, there's like Metroid, there's like other games I would play, but it's not gonna be satisfying to me. It's just, I can't see it being satisfying to me because people won't show up, and even if they do, it's not what I really want to do, right? Going back to what I said originally, and to keep things a little bit short, because I know we're getting up there in minutes. Again, it's hard for me to not ramble. I apologize for that. It might be over 20 minutes already. I don't know. I haven't checked the time. There's just been a lot of feelings as well. I don't think I even got to nearly all of them yet, but it's not really what I want to do. Streaming has never been what I really want to do. The thing that I've wanted to do, and I've said it, is voice acting, so I need to just take a month away and properly focus on that. Learn audio engineering or mixing, maybe make a demo. I kid you not. I will just say this as well because I cannot make this up. Like, half an hour before I was going to record this update video, or just like, you know, talk about it, I got added for a link on YouTube, and it was for a fan project that sounds really cool and really up my alley. I believe it was called Trails in the Dub, where essentially they are trying to English dub the... I'm not sure if it's only committed to the first Sky game or the entire trilogy, but they're trying to do an English dub of that as like a fan dub project, right? Where you can install it as a mod. That's really cool. That sounds like it's up my alley, and I would like to contribute to that. Not just because I like the games, but just because that sounds like great practice. That sounds like a great way to get involved and do something that I'm interested in with voice acting, because I have done auditions in the past and it has been enjoyable, but there's a problem. I checked the forums. Oh look, they are looking for auditions, right? Hey, guess what it is? It's not character auditions, which I have done before, and that's like pretty simple. You just send like an MP3 file of those lines in question, but this has happened all too often, and I've never had the time to address it and properly learn how to do it, is that they just want a demo. And a demo is a little trickier for me because I haven't had enough experience to make a demo. A demo is basically a compilation of the things you've done or the voices that you can make, which I'm not familiar with yet. I need to record my voice more like I'm doing right now. I need to figure things out. I need to know what my limits are or what I can do. I haven't had the time to properly practice this stuff. And that is all my own fault too, right? Nobody was pressuring me to stream as much as I was, but it was a problem and I need to just let it go, right? So that's where I'm at. I feel creatively unsatisfied with where I've been the last 5 or 6 years. I feel like there's been good memories and good times for sure, but I can't help but feel that a lot of that stuff could have been trimmed down and probably would have been just as enjoyable. So, all of this to say, I just wanted to really talk with you guys about what I've been feeling the last few days, where it's been a little bit of regret. It's been a lot of good times, but tinged with that little bit of, you know, just regret, thinking like, man, I did it, but was it worth it? And it's a case-by-case thing, right? But that's where I've been at. So all of that to say that I'm not saying that I'm falling out of love with video games. I still love video games. It's still one of my favorite hobbies. And I still do enjoy interacting with the chat and streaming and whatnot, but at the same time, going forward, I'm probably going to take a break for a few weeks, maybe even a month, you know, at the time of posting this video. This video might get unlisted in a few months because it won't really be relevant to much of anything. But just for now, for anybody that listens, you know, for the few people that are subs to the channel, I want to let you guys know that that's what's going on. Streaming won't be happening as much because I think ideally what I'm going to have to do is make a set schedule, or at least keep it to like a vague 2 or 3 times a week, right? Maybe not any long form games like the Trail series anymore, because hoo boy, that takes a long time. But I'm thinking of like the East games or the Metro games that I want to do like soon enough, you know, like things like that. When I do come back to streaming, I'll check those out. But I think that's how I'm going to have to do it, because on top of voice acting, I also want to learn some video editing. That's been the other thought too, was that sometimes, okay, so when I stream something, a good example being The World Ends With You Neo, right? I played that demo, nobody really showed up, technically 2 people, and then they like dipped for a few minutes. But I sometimes wonder about that too. It's like, wouldn't it be better for the games that I know or have seen that people don't show up for, wouldn't it be better to play the game on my own, enjoy it for what it is, and maybe by the end of it, record or rather video edit I guess a video essay, or like a thoughts on, or, you know, like impressions, maybe a review. I don't know how I would do it yet, but I feel like that would be better use of my time than streaming it and trying to entertain people and paying half attention to the game because the chat might not even be there, or because people might not even show up to it. Instead of streaming it, I'd rather video edit a review of some kind talking about my experience with it and have that show up, because one of the things that makes Twitch streaming really hard, even for variety streamers, is that discoverability is awful on Twitch. It always has been. Like, I should have been doing YouTube and then Twitch on the side a long time ago. If I wanted to actually get people in the chat, if I wanted to get people as an actual active audience, I should have been doing that, right? It's been one of the things that people recommend a lot, is just start YouTube and then do Twitch. That's usually what people do, because discoverability is so bad on Twitch to begin with. So I've been thinking about that too, right? That's why I say maybe once or twice or 3 times a week, because sometimes I'll probably just be playing games, or priority number 1 being voice acting, but it doesn't mean that I have to stream it. Sometimes it could be a first-time experience that people just won't see, but at the same time, it might be better to just do that and then focus on editing a video afterwards. Priority-wise, it's going to be voice acting, video editing, and streaming if I can, but nothing too crazy. So that's kind of where it's been. All that to say that streaming will still happen. And I thank you guys for your support, for watching these videos that have just basically been like VODs or past broadcasts, you know. That's the other thing too. I know if I had the time to edit those stream segments, it might be more entertaining for people watching on YouTube, right? It doesn't have to be like 2 or 3 hours of commitment. It could be a highlight reel or something, right? I could do that too. But I just didn't have the time back then to really learn video editing and really establish a workflow to do that stuff, because I chose not to, because I defaulted back to just playing games and streaming and not worrying about it, right? And that's kind of the problem. I need to get rid of that default. I need to get out of my comfort zone, learn new skills, become a better, well-rounded person for the future. If I want to pursue voice acting, if I want to do all these things, if I want to be a better person, I need to start with time management and knowing what to prioritize and what to do and what I truly value first before I have fun with video games, right? And that's ultimately how I've been feeling the last few days. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Streaming will still be happening. It's just going to be more condensed. But it won't happen for a while, probably like a month from now. I'll come back maybe 3 weeks or so. But I need a good break from streaming. It's been, like I said, 5 or 6 years of this stuff. Mostly non-stop, aside from taking like a month or 2 break. Earlier this year, I think in February to March. But I need to do that more often and stream less, because I think it's just better for my mental health and my other goals in general. So, yeah, just wanted to say that just to, let you guys know what's on my mind. And I know a lot of people might not listen to this, but nevertheless, I appreciate it. And I thank you for your continued support. Hope you guys have a good one. Take care. And I'll see you down the road. Later, dudes.